I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which we're meeting today, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I recognise their deep-seated connection to the land, seas and sky. Just watch your step there, please. And recognise that this land was never ceded. So just want to thank our candidates for joining us today.
Thank you.
So the people that we've actually had contact us in regards to attending today's meeting. So we've got here today Daniel Crook, is that pronounced right?
That's right.
Fantastic. Virginia Tarkos and Rosa Bruno, that running order. We were expecting Victoria Borg, Les Tarkson and Benoit Seligman. Not entirely sure where they are today. We do have an apology from Lucy Nguyen, Margaret Gudice, Aristian Havalis, Peter Coventry, Fred Ackerman, Pridham Singh and Graham Bloor. Anyone else whose name you have not heard, you can assume they have not responded in any way. All 61 candidates, if they had an email address, were personally emailed and invited to attend today. They were also invited via messages on Facebook, and it was widely advertised on social media as well, not just on Facebook, but on Instagram, Twitter, Mastodon, and Threads. So they're aware that today is happening. So the way this will run is, first of all, we're going to start off with a bit of a short candidate introduction. We'll then move forward to questions from all of you guys in the open forum. Then we'll move to our candidate speed round, where basically you'll have an opportunity to meet with each of the candidates one-on-one, so you can have a private conversation with each other. And kind of like speed dating, we'll just switch you around after a few minutes so that you can move on to the next candidate. So before we begin, I just want to quickly make sure that no one has any housekeeping questions or anything like that that they'd like me to address, and make sure that everyone's comfortable. We all good to go? Fantastic. All right, guys. So Rose has already acknowledged that she cannot stay for the entire duration of today's meeting due to other commitments today, but I think we'll start with you if you just want to get up and introduce yourself and let people know a little bit about you.
Thanks, Shannon. Welcome everyone. My name's Rosa Bruno. I'm running for the first time. I'm a local resident here at Horseshoe Bend, so I've lived in Keilor for about 43 years, and I've been a ratepayer for about 35. So I probably know a lot about what's happening and what's not happening in the area, and some of the gripes that that we all probably live and breathe. And yeah, I'm pretty much do a lot of local activities through the Keilor village and through the gym. I use a lot of the public transport to get to work in the city, so I know a lot about what the issues are around those areas. I have a, sorry, there's a bit of noise on the background. So I have a finance and a project management background, so I also felt that some of those skills would be great to bring into council. And with project management, it's about, you know, the projects that they run is making sure they're on time, on budget, and they are delivered. And if they're not, then what are we doing about them? And in finance, 37 years in finance, then you want to make sure your books are up to date. And looking forward to meeting some of the residents and their questions. Thanks, Shannon.
Thank you. Kim Ewan? Control. Sorry. Sorry, what was your surname? Control. Sorry, what was your surname? Kim Trung. Thank you very much for joining us today. And what ward were you from? Cherry Creek. Yep, and sorry, and Rosa, you are from Horseshoe Bend? Fantastic. Okay, Daniel, if you'd like to come up.
G'day, my name is Daniel Crook. I'm running in Harvester Ward, which encompasses Sunshine and Sunshine North. I've lived in Sunshine North for the last 6 years, and in that time I've found that we've fallen behind. My background is in union advocacy works. I'm an elected official in the NTEU, that's the union for the higher education sector. So It's natural for me to put my voice to issues and advocate for issues on the ground. I've got many wins under my belt, both in the union space and on the ground here in Sunshine and Sunshine North. I also work at Swinburne University. My specialty is lead business analyst. So that's process, governance, enterprise service management, auditing, compliance, and the like. So that pairs very nicely with council work and the like. When I say I've got wins under my belt, when I moved into the area 6 years ago, we've fallen behind, frankly. There were numerous issues. Some of the neighbours were telling me this used to be called the Golden Triangle, and we've just fallen behind in such as the pollution at the factories along McIntyre Road, the odour and noise pollution, the constant dumped rubbish in the area, the lack of green spaces. And over the past 6 years, my partner and I, we've put our own time, money, resources, putting a voice to the neighbourhood and saying, hey, we need these issues fixed. For example, the factories along McIntyre Road, Axel Nobel, Flickers, Sparks in particular, the odour and noise pollution, the residents telling me this has been ongoing for the last 40 years, you can't fix it. And I was like, no way, we can fix it. So I took to the streets, lobbied the EPA, local councils, state government. Hey, how are we living amongst this odour and noise? This is horrible. You can't go outside. I'm getting lightheaded just in the garden. I can't walk the dog. This is not possible. We had closed door meetings with the EPA where they told us we can't action this. We can't action this unless it's the top 10 issue in the state or top 10 issue in the country. And I responded quite frankly, hey, you can smell it throughout the streets of the whole suburb. What do you mean it's not top 10 issue in the state or country? So I had to door knock every house, and they were letting me know it's by reporting. The number of people that report, then it gets raised to the top 10 issue. So I was door knocking every house, saying every time you smell it, you've got to call and report it. You smell it twice a day, 3 times a day, report it. Call, report. We built an advocacy group, the Pollution Action Group, which you can find on Facebook. And at the end of it, we met with the EPA again, and they said, my gosh, you got it to #1 in the state and top 3 in the country just because of what you've done on the ground. And we got that fixed up.
We just, sorry, we've got some candidates that are just sorry. That's all right. You sit here.
I do that. I always do that. I find us.
Sorry, can you continue?
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. So, in a nutshell, that's why I'm running for council, right? I've already got wins under my belt. I've put my voice to the community. We've achieved results in the area. We've stopped the odour and noise pollution at the factories on McIntyre Road. The residents are now living in peace. They can leave their fire screen door open for the first time in 40 years. We've got a couple of new footpaths and green space in the area in Sunshine and Sunshine North, particularly because myself and my partner Sarah have put our voices to the community and we've advocated for this. And I guess that's the next natural step for me to run for council and try and achieve more wins and put my voice to the people within here. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Do you want to go next door? I'm going to take them. She just walked in. Yeah, no worries. Virginia, if you want to come up. That's fine. Sorry. I'll let the microphone upright. Yeah. Perfect.
Hi everyone, and firstly I'd like to thank Shannon for organising this event and all the candidates and all the residents. My name is Virginia Tarkos and I'm running for Horseshoe Bend. For the last 8 years as a councillor representative and an independent voice, I have been vigorously advocating for Brimbank to become the heart of the West. I believe for all that you read that paints our municipality in a negative light, and yes, we do have challenges ahead. We are a real melting pot of not only diverse cultures and stories, we are a place of places and a destination of many journeys. We epitomise the importance of giving hope and a new start in life, and that's why I chose Brimbank as my place to start my family. I'm a proud resident and I love where I live. Some of the challenges we face, which include housing demand, population growth, food insecurity, cost of living pressures, contamination, environmental pollution, and the growing pressure that we have and the demand on services in particular is felt at local government level. very hard these days, and I hear it from many people, to get an affordable GP, to even find green spaces and parks and schools and kindergartens. And there is currently a broken and inefficient public transport service. To illustrate how bad it is, you cannot get a bus to this park. Unless you have a car, you cannot get to this park, and if there's minor flooding, you still can't get through the trail because it floods and they close it off, so you need a car even with minor flooding. We have been trying for 10 years to get a bridge across. There's a lot to unpack in a short time, but I will focus on my ward and what I believe is a challenge for the whole of Brimbank, and that is the proposed third runway. I endorse Council's position to oppose the third runway because of the health and environmental harms and impacts, in particular to deep sleep disruption and impact on the cognitive development of children's learning, which can add a learning delay. Add to this layers of existing disadvantage and trauma and pre-existing health conditions in our municipality, and the constant interrupted sleep, to me, is actually a health emergency. People need deep sleep, and we need to know the impact of the interruption of this, not only for mental health, but also creating higher cortisol levels, which have long-term impacts like hypertension and stroke. Another harm that faces our community that cannot be ignored is gambling losses in Brimbank. The state government is addicted to the pokies revenue from the West, and it leaves the social costs of these losses, like crime, family violence, for councils, police, and all other underfunded services to mop up. Over $60 million in pokies revenue is ripped out of Brimbank's poorest postcodes, and it is used for big builds and projects in marginal seats. We begged the state government for money for the Brimbank Leisure Centre, the one that you see on Taylor's Road. We got $2 million for a $60 million health and wellbeing centre that now has roughly 10,000 members. We need 3 of these centres in Brimbank to assist in prevention of health issues. We need it in Sunshine and in Deer Park. As long as this government drags its heels on reforms in gambling, such as a total blanket ban on sports gambling ads, it's holding the most vulnerable people back from reaching their full potential. Finally, I've been fighting hard for a contamination task force to be based in the West. The Kialba landfill underground fire has been burning for 5 years now. Our community galvanised and attended 5 years of ongoing reporting, pressure to finally initiate legal action against Barrow through the EPA. The process was long, drawn out, and a lot of people are sadly worn out by this, but we still have live hotspots burning, which our community are fighting to this day for clean air. In the West, the EPA is at best reactive and not proactive in preventing such disasters. We need a well-resourced independent contamination task force based here, because we are the home of landfills, legacy contamination, chemical manufacturing and storage industries that need much greater surveillance and compliance, as also illustrated with the Derrimut fire that we saw recently. There were 2 fires, and one of them was catastrophic, where a life was lost. More questions remain than answers around these 2 fires. In conclusion, I've been letterboxing and talking with locals. They have told me they want councils to provide safe, vibrant, green public spaces that provide shade, drinking fountains, seating, free Wi-Fi, pop-ups, activations in shopping strip shops, art shows, local markets, multicultural festivals, focusing on all cultures across Brimbank. More Indigenous and eco tours that discover and promote the rich history of Brimbank. Sustainability. People want better connections. They want shared paths, efficient, more frequent buses, and they want the Greening of the West program to continue. I was talking to someone just at the cafe about, okay, we've got these really ugly mountains that are landfills. Cover them up with trees. Make them look like Mount Macedon. I mean, because if you're going to look at something so horrible, trees are good in that they stop the erosion, and also they do seep up any contamination and of that falling into and prevent it from falling into the river. And then diversion programs also for youth, because there are programs out there that do help kids that are at risk of entering the justice system. One good one was Flip My Ride, where a group of young kids were given an opportunity to buy a car, fix it up, and then sell it for a charity. Now, a lot of these kids were at risk of joining gangs, and it was a 2-year program, 18 months. I attended the graduation with Councillor Ball, and I was moved to tears by the speeches that those kids gave that said that they would have been on the streets, they would have dropped out of school, but Flip My Ride gave them an opportunity. It taught them self-care, social skills, how to eat properly. A lot of these supports were not available through their home life, but that program actually provided them with a strong sense of themselves, and they also worked with police. It was a police-run program. That program was defunded this year by the government. Now, if you're going to stop crime with youth, you have to start with prevention, and that's where council plays a huge role, not in fixing crime, but the prevention. And finally, I want the libraries open for longer hours, because a lot of people are going to gambling because there's nothing else to do. But libraries can offer respite and activities for people that could be diverted away from gambling. Councils should be innovative, nimble, active, engage with the community. I hope you can support me as an independent force for you for the next 4 years. Thank you.
Acknowledging the fact that, yes, you're quite right, that there's no public transport to the venue that we've chosen today. Just a quick note on that, the reason why this venue was actually chosen, it's actually one of the more, believe it or not, accessible venues for disabled people to access, in that it is wheelchair friendly. There is actually a disability friendly playground for anyone who had children that they wanted to bring along, including a quiet space for those that are neurodivergent and autistic. And there's also accessible toilets and plenty of accessible car parking. The only place we're let down is in public transport. So I did the best I could to make it an accessible venue, but I just wanted to acknowledge that, yes, I do realise that there's no public transport available to Brimbank Park.
Shannon?
Yes.
Can the councillors stay if they're affiliated with any parties? And they can distance themselves?
That's probably something you can ask them when we open up the forum.
Yeah, no, I'm asking up with you, so.
Right, well, as we've already heard from half of them, it's probably better to ask at the end now, if that's okay. Is that all right?
Yep.
Thanks. Victoria, did you want to come up?
Thank you, Shannon, and good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land where we are meeting today, the Wurundjeri and the Bunurong people, and pay my respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. I would also like to thank Shannon for organizing such wonderful event. I must admit, I did not expect it to be so formal, so I did not prepare a speech, but it's okay. So it's nice to see everyone here. This is a very important part of the democratic process, and I want to say that I have chosen to represent the Alban Vale ward, which is that part of Brimbank. In fact, it's a corridor that runs through Station Road on the side of Brimbank Shopping Centre, Albanvale, and part of Kings Park up to Gillespie Road. And that corridor coincides with the fact that part of the corridor in Brimbank that is highly disadvantaged. You're probably asking, why did you choose that part of Brimbank? There was something that was really appealing to me about that part of Brimbank. Maybe because I personally come from a highly disadvantaged family back home than where I grew up back in Lumbar. Suffice to say that we were the last people in the village to have the electricity installed in our house. And I did all my studying, except for the last year, using a kerosene lamp. But it didn't stop me to achieve what I wanted to achieve, because even at that time, I showed a great passion for learning. And it thrived and grew in me more when I came here to Australia. Speaking of a highly disadvantaged community, I also want to say what one of the school principals said to me recently in one of the schools in that area that I work very closely with. She said, we are highly disadvantaged, but the students are excellent, are magnificent, and that really impressed me in more ways than one. What he's saying here, if only these students, and of course young people and everyone, are given the required resources to continue with their education, they will thrive in more ways than one. And that is what I am here for, to continue to advocate for such community members. Knowledge is power. And one way to lift this community in Brimbank, more specifically in that ward, is to help our students and even young adolescents and even older, because my philosophy is learning for life, is to give them the support what they need. Even older people who are not digital literate, it's important to continue to advocate and on their behalf and give them the opportunity to learn digital literacy. And every change that we make may be small, but it's significant because it does have its ripple effects. One question that came through with the social media was, what am I going to do for youth in the area? I understand this is a huge challenge for us as a council and as a community, and also at all levels of government, for that matter. This is a huge concern for us, and we need to continue to advocate by using a multi-pronged approach to deal with these problems that we are being faced with adolescents. Councillor Tapos has already touched some of them. And of course there is lack of engagement, inability to be academic, and that's okay, so long as we give them the resources that they need. Recently I was at the men's shed, and I'm pleased to say that when I was there, there was one of the local schools bringing a group of students who required hands-on experience. And they were so beautiful students and we are working with them. The men's shed group are working with them to help them develop their interest in other areas. And as I said to them on that day, you have planted a seed today. It will germinate and grow in its own time, so long as we provide the fertile soil that they need. And it was so beautiful to see them, so interested. And may I say, boys and girls, which is great to see. Again, so I do a lot of work with the men's shed. And the men's shed is more than just a men's shed. It's an opportunity to give others who need support, who need help, who need, whether it's in relation to break that sense of isolation, to develop their talent. It's amazing what these beautiful people do with their hands. So it's important that we as a council continue to support them and get and apply for grants to help them, because this is what all comes down to funding. It's a very big issue for us. And so that's an area that I'm very much interested in. Mental health, that's a very much area that I am continuously advocating at various levels, because at Legacy there are gold, silver and brass. So, and it's important to continue to advocate in whichever capacity, in whichever opportunity that we can get. As you probably know, and those of you who are familiar with my work, I'm sure I come across as a full-rounded person. And I highly support, for example, climate change, the challenges that we are being faced through the climate change, including greening the West. I also support people with diverse needs, whether it's because of disabilities, or whether because of their gender identity. I totally embrace that wholeheartedly, and I'm here to support. I'm a highly inclusive person, and I will continue to be so. What can I say? There is a lot to say, but I don't want to take much of your time because I understand you have other speakers. But I'm here to continue with my work, and I want to congratulate all the candidates and wish them all the very best. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kim. I'm a candidate for Cherry Bridge School. I'm from Berkeley. I live in Victoria about 40 years and work and live in Brimbank over 18 years. In the 18 years, I work for the different council on the role of the advisory and the project officer for environment and prevention family violence for City of Yarra, Melbourne, Maribyrnong, Moonee Valley, and for Brimbank too. I get involved a lot of the community work. This example is like, you still remember in year 2005 when the Melbourne weather had dry and we had no water nutrition. I mean, the first member in the community go around, especially for the ethnic community,
have to saving the water. City wastewater know me very well. During the pandemic COVID-19, I is go around in Brimbank to put in the letterbox for the war mask, and also send to the hospital. When we start have the pandemic, we have very limit of the mask. So my friend made the mask, and I will deliver to mostly all the residents. When the bushfire in the border of the New South Wales and Victoria, I was the first member in the leader to go directly to, I raised the money from friends and my community, so go directly to give, to buy the equipment for the private and for the local resident. The reason when I say like this, because as I mentioned, I come here like refugee, no friend, no relative, and I receive a lot of support and help. So the way I get back, that's why I involve a lot of community work. When I have been the counselor in Brimbank, however, was on the term 2016 to 2020, and I was deputy mayor in 2019-2020. During my term, I in the project in environment, I initiative to the council and for the state government about the vending machine for the recycle, and I'm very happy to see it in 1st of November 2023. The machine has been launched for the community, because I think that is the part of our environment that will help us to less for the rabbit to the landfill, and also it will educate the member in the community about the environment, and I'm so happy to see that. Another thing on my term, on the role of environment, that I did subject to the environment team. You know, it's every year we have one hard waste collection, and I suggest it we can have separate, for people can roll off the hard waste or the one they undo it to serve it, and so this people can have it, and also it help more members in the community about us. During the pandemic of COVID-19, from my own pocket, I cook the food to give for, because in my role I go around, I know some of the elderly people live alone, or the young mother with the young children, and they give them the food, or the nappy, something is to me for them is make the connection. And we all understand at this time we feel very depression because we lockdown, so it's make them to feel people around community still care, still think for them. And I'd rather work than talking, because I'm not very good on talking. But I'm very fortunate to make me the opportunity to meet other candidates and also with other members in the community. And I hope I can have a chance to continue my job, to continue to work and support the community, because our community is our future. Special in Brimbank, if we have very large diversity community. A lot of them come here with a lot of issue or something is behind their back. the support. And another thing is the problem is a young people, a new arrival, a young mother, they want to go to work. But the problem about child care, school aftercare, and so something Brimbank should look to because I think is every member in the community is everyone is important and make us together is rebuild and make Brimbank stronger, better life for everyone. And I think that is why I love Brimbank. I love to work and live there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I suppose before we continue, a question's already been raised. If we could ask candidates if they're a current member of a political party. So I might just pass the mic down if you guys can answer.
Yes, so I am a member of the Labor Party. However, I'll just say this much. The number one issue that came up in a survey of residents here and in other council areas is integrity. So I voluntarily put out there that I'm a Labor Party member, and I voluntarily completed the survey by the age, which only 47% of candidates have done, to declare that I'm a Labor Party member. Now, I'm not an endorsed candidate by the Labor Party. They have funded zero of my project. The design is all myself and my partner working on that. Everything's printed out of my own savings. And I'll just say this much as well. You've heard my union background, and when staff members come to me at my workplace saying, hey, I've got an issue with X, Y, Z, the first thing I ask them is, are you a union member? Because I can only help union members, right? I joined the Labor parties. I can bring a voice to the issues affecting the West to the Labor Party and say, hey, this is not good enough. I was the only Labor candidate at the No Third Runway meeting, and I brought that voice back to the Labor Party, said, no, this is not good enough for our people here. And actually, if I can say this much, I'm probably the guy the Labor Party loves to hate, because I'm the guy that gets out there, speaks to residents, and that's my union background, and the residents drive the direction I'm going to approach. And that's my spiel. Thank you.
No, I am fully independent, and I have always been. Thank you.
I'm an independent candidate, and I was a former member of the Labor Party, and my membership lapsed in 2013.
I think we're going to run out of forward. Might need to stand up. Sorry.
When I started to work in Victoria, I had to join the union and then from the union, I become the member of Labor. But as I Daniel, I never been employed by Labor. I don't have anything like do all the design or anything from the bank. So I never received any sponsor or the money from the Labor. I also the member of ISL, and it's the Australian Vietnamese Women Association, and a member of the Vietnamese veteran. The way I still keep the member from the Labor is because it comes from the communist country, and something the issue about the country sometimes the MP in here don't understand. So I have a chance to write the issue for them to understand why is a lot of refugee people escape from their own country and to come here. And I just confirm.
No, I'm fully independent. I'm fully independent. I'm just a local resident, and I just want to represent one of the residents that lives here and breathes here and all the issues. Thank you.
Thanks very much for that, guys. Okay, so I'll open the floor to questions. So if you've got a question, just I might go to you first, Andy, because that was your question then.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Just bear with me for a moment. Do you want to come up and ask a question?
Hi, I come from a government background, state government for 40 years, so I've worked in a lot of areas of justice and dealing with homelessness people, and also crimes, family violence has been a big issue. I have researched and seen that some other councils have now got advocacy units and referral units where women who are scared can actually come as a first appointment and get some support and then get actually referred to the new Self and Respect Equality Board that's been developed by my colleague Mary Mottles. I just want to know what this council is looking at, because it's becoming a very big issue and I think it needs to be addressed.
I'm happy to answer.
If you just want to step up, it's probably easier.
I just wanted to say that one of the byproducts of gambling losses is also an increase in family violence. And there's not a week that goes by where I've not been reached out to by families, women in particular, experiencing family violence from culturally diverse backgrounds where there's a lot of stigma and a lot of pressure not to report. I found it really, really difficult to get a response from council officers on where I can get referrals, and that it wasn't our role in particular to deal with the situation, but I said because we're the closest on the ground, we're approached by people, and I have to say they're brave to reach out to us, because some of them one woman that called me was sleeping in the car with her family, with her children, and she said, I never knew that I could be in this position, and here I am, help me. So I managed to get referrals to 5 different places, including Orange Door. There was also another place looking at emergency rental for her, because a lot of the emergency accommodation is just impossible to get anything. And also looking at material needs for her kids, and a grant, a one-off grant that's available that I was able to tap into for her. So basically, we as councillors have got a responsibility to make sure that we're backgrounded with all the support groups, and they change, and we need to be up to date, and that we are able to be a conduit to refer people, because when a person reaches out to you, you can't afford to just say, well, it's not my problem, go to this government agency. You are the person they trust.
You might be able to reach from here and it helps.
Thank you, Vicky, for raising such an important issue in our community. Domestic violence, there is no place for it. But we know that it happens, and we are very much afflicted in our society across all cultures. I know that as a council, in our first term, Virginia might remember that we developed the policy, gender equity policy, and we looked at very much into account women and children who are affected by this horrible experience that a lot of women, and perhaps even men, experience. I myself, I am very much against domestic violence, and as I said, there is no place for it. And as a councillor and a prospective, if I'm elected councillor, I will continue to fight against this. This again needs a multi-pronged approach. It's, having a policy is one thing, but we need to bring it down to actions at the grassroots levels. And that is why I take part in so many events and I visit so many groups during my when I am elected, and because we need to approach these people also at grassroots levels, because otherwise they can easily slip through the cracks, like with mental health problems. With mental health, usually when I visit, you do have brochures with me for people to go and see the Brimbank local, for example. I also like to talk about the Orange Door that Virginia Tacos has spoken to. A lot of people are not aware about these services. And again, there's a lot of shame when it comes to domestic violence. A lot of shame. It could be our neighbor. It could be the person down the road. It could be even our friend. So I cannot emphasize this highly enough, that as a council, it is important to have policies and strategies in place to deal with this. But it's also important for us as councillors to visit people at grassroots levels, because it is at that point that we are likely to save someone from falling in between the cracks. Thank you.
I think with family violence, it's a big issue, special in Brimbank, because we have the large ethnic community. For the one of them is culture and the barrier of the language, and some of them understand very basic about family violence. It's only for the physical. This is sometimes verbal abuse, sexual abuse, violence, and especially for the new arrival. New arrival, because I work on that area, the prevention education for the ethnic community. So for new arrival, they scare if they been report or they ask help from the community, they may be lost their visa, they may be sent back to their home. So they handle, we carry, that's big thing. So I mentioned many times, so have to for them to understand what is the available, what is the service provide for everyone, and we treat everyone equal. It's not because you long-term or resident or you are new arrival. And I know it's like if the victim is pulled the visa, they can have the service provide from in-trust. In-trust they have the service provide for new arrival, for who it called the visa, and also they have the lawyer, legal service to help them too. Because a lot of, like my background, the men have the power, the men have right to hit, to pick on the shoulder for the wife or the female in the community, in the family. So we think that is the normal. And also some of other community, they think that is behind the door. They don't want people to know. They're scared to lose back. So we have to let them to understand is what the right, what is the wrong. So education and prevention is important. When something happens, they come for help, because maybe that's one, sometimes we can hit the end of the line of someone. Every week, we maybe have about 5 women maybe been killed around Australia due to family violence. And I think everyone from our community, we care. We want everyone happiness we focus about family violence and working with the men. Because important is the men to know their role. They know it's, and other thing is sometimes people or the woman they scared to report because they don't want to break the family. They don't want their children lost the father. They don't want to put their partner or their husband in the jail because that is the worry. So I think it's really important in education. And I just recommend with other council is when the new arrival, we should have the information back, and information back have the information about family violence. Because at this time they feel confident to read. Better when something happens, they don't know where to go. And if you can provide the information in different language, because barrier language still is the big issue for the ethnic community. So that's what I think, and I'm very pleased to know and to see, not on the local government, state government, and even federal government, very strong, have a lot of projects to support, to improve about this big issue, to have less victims for the family violence, to make every family be the happiness together, and to understand what the service provide, what it can help them. Thank you.
Just very brief.
Yeah, we'll do it very briefly, so I don't do
We're already running behind, so I'm just thinking, yeah.
So this is a topic that's quite personal because we did something at work recently and I was part of the working group, and we wanted to make sure that obviously we were looking at workplace, but you can replicate that across the council and the community. And what we did is we provided the support and the resources, and we made sure that it's just not, you know, family violence. It goes across, domestic violence is across gender, religion, political, anything. And that's what we wanted to make sure, that there is the education and where you can find it. And surprisingly, we did it over lunchtime and we got over 750 people dialing, and we are still providing ongoing information to that group and any other group through our intranet. So what we did at work, I would be gladly trying to bring some of those learnings to council.
Brief, but this is a very personal topic for me, having two family members go through domestic violence, and one of them more recently my sister-in-law, who we didn't hear back from for the last 6 years, except for the occasional, yep, I'm doing fine, everything's good, until a mandatory check-in, and then they found bruises and all over her and the kids, and things went from there. And now we're supporting her and helping her along the journey. This is a very tough topic. It's not one that's going to be solved by a single councillor. It's one that's going to be solved with a united front, with the same values. It's a difficult topic just because of the socio-economic complexities of it, and the complexities of gender and everything, and marriage and family and all that combined. But I'm very proud to stand here today with a set of councillors, or set of candidates that have the same values and will advocate for the same solutions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, answer, guys. Do we have any other questions?
I do actually.
Yep.
I'm not coming up, I don't need a mic.
Okay, I'll just ask you to project your voice
Yeah,
up to the recording.
absolutely. My name's Jodie, I'm the secretary at the Keilor Tennis Club. You know, we're right next door to the sports club that is getting this fantastic building apparently that, you know, anyway, we won't go there. We have, our tennis club is 100 years old, and I think we've still got the original building. We have 4 courts. We are sending our teams up to Lumbar Park because we just don't have the space. which means we can't advertise for new players. Our clubhouse was so bad that council helped us by turning a door that could swing out instead of swinging in, because you could not get in the toilet to do your lady bits. So that's how bad it was, and that's what their resolution. We have been told that we are 7th on the list. I am sick to death of council thinking that Keilor residents are all millionaires. We are not. We are fundraising, we are doing heaps to get that tennis club. We can fix family violence if we get our community together, and I don't know why we are worrying about putting out the fire when we can do something about bringing our community together, and we can have women coming down to the tennis. We have men's, we have unisex teams, but we cannot grow our club because we're sending them to other courts. We are maxed out. So we are in talks with another sports facility to see if we can combine. Keilor Football Club didn't want anything to do with us. That's completely fine. But we need to get something done, because this is the way we are living. 7th on the list is just not good enough. Our building, I don't know, I know Virginia has walked into it. It is so old. You know, it's embarrassing actually when clubs come to visit us. So there's no question. I just need the councillors to know what we are living with. You know, it's terrible. Hi Rosa, yeah?
I was going to say my son still plays for Keilor. He's 25, and we know the tennis, and we've fought many years. You know, probably know a lot of people there, but it is, I totally support you on that, because
it's terrible.
It's embarrassing.
It is.
For the visitors coming here, and I think obviously the football club as well, but I totally agree. It's not just our community, but we can't expand. We've had 4 courts. I've lived here, as I said, 43 years. It's always been the same. We went from clay to the fake grass.
Yeah.
And I think I might just tap onto that, because I actually have a question here on behalf of Brimbank Disability Advocacy and Support, which actually speaks to the issue that you guys have raised here. And the question is, many community spaces in Brimbank are not accessible for disabled people. This can be from a lack of parking or accessible parking, damaged roads and crossings, infection control or sensory friendly spaces. It also includes 2 bathrooms. If elected, how will you ensure the disability community can access these public spaces, especially with resistance from council operations? The second question that they raised, which also ties into the same thing, so I'll read it now and hopefully we can get a brief answer across both questions on this, is Brimbank currently lacks support for adults with disabilities aged 25 to 55, including social activities, sports programs and peer support groups. How will you address this issue if elected? And what I'd like to do is actually pass the mic down to every candidate that's here and get a brief answer to both of those, please.
In council's defence, Shannon, we are getting new fences, but we're getting new fences because they're falling down. But I'm hoping that they make it wide enough for a wheelchair to get on.
Yep.
Because we already have vision impaired play on our courts.
Correct.
And if you've walked through and seen it, we've got yellow tape and they play with the balls with the little bell in it.
Yep, and that's
So
exactly what
we
it is.
do
We
offer
need to
that,
support those sort of
But
programs.
we can only do what we can do.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, thanks for the questions, great questions. So, as I said before, my approach is that I don't want to dictate a solution that's not fit for purpose, right? Disability covers all spectrums, from mental disability right through to physical disability, and even through that physical disability, there's many spectrums there as well. So I don't want to dictate a solution. My intention is to meet with community members and find out what's fit for purpose for them, and develop a solution that's fit for purpose for the agenda or for the specific area, sport type, whatever it is. And that's going to be my approach through and through. Thank you very much.
Thank you once again for such an interesting question, and thank you, Jody, for raising that matter too. Having been in council for now 8 years, I think when it comes to council's planning and the budget, we need to make make sure that we allocate enough funding for it. It all comes down to funding. I mean, there could be specific places, matters that need to be addressed, and when that happens, there is no stone that I am unturned. Believe me, I work very hard behind the scene to see how we can approach these matters, because once again, it's so critical that we are inclusive, especially, not only especially, but we do have an aging population, which is also included as people with disability. And when it comes to sports facilities, again, council has got a big responsibility to make the venues accessible to everyone. So I am happy to revisit any policies also when it comes to that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks Jodie for raising that question. When we first got elected in 2016, we did a bus tour of Brimbank, and what we saw of most of our sports facilities were that they looked like they were from the Dickens era, to be honest. Some of them were just brick walls and a brick seat, and no running water in a lot of them. In fact, I ran for council because my son played for Keilor Cricket Club, and we had no ground, so we were renting grounds in places that had no shelter, no running water, and no toilets. When we got elected, we made fixing up our sports facilities a #1 priority, and hence you see the Brimbank Leisure Centre, because there was this impression that people in the West just don't want to get fit and be healthy, and people with disabilities don't want to be involved in sports. We have found out the opposite. By looking at the membership numbers now at Borg, we were hoping for 3,000 members. We now have over 10,000. So there's a demand and a need for council to provide facilities that are purpose-built and inclusive, but also that allow community to do the community building, like you said, Jodie. Because once you have that facility that is inclusive and quality, you guys do the best community building, not us. We are there to provide the facilities, make sure that they're inclusive of women, because like I know Keilor Sports Club, that took 8 years. And the reason that started is because people couldn't get a wheelchair in the toilet. And also the booming women wanting to play football. They had no space, it was badly built, and that finally got done. But it took a hell of a fight for that to happen. And people don't know this, but there's other clubs that run out of that Keilor Sports Club. Life Activities run activities for people over 50 every single day. So it's not just used for sports, it's used as a community hub, and that's what people have got to understand. And we're trying to tell operations is that it's not just sports that's happening in these facilities, it's community building. People are making friends for life. I know I have, through my volunteerism in sports clubs and working on the fryers and doing food for kids, playing sports. So if re-elected, I will be fighting tooth and nail for Keilor Tennis Club and Keilor Park Soccer Club, because I believe that's where our community does community building.
Sorry, ladies. This thing's like 25 years old, so I apologise.
I think your question is great question, and I think it's that's why we say the community is important. If you not raise really what happened, so I suggest it follow other candidates mentioned, and if when what happened when the new councillor team is being selected, I suggest if you should come to the meeting or write the issue of your club and bring up, and then it that make it priority for us to focus. I also know if council have the funding, community funding, something it big. So you put that one, it become the priority. It's not for your block, but for the community. And I think that is important because everyone can know and we can focus. The new council team can focus to know what the needs from your area, even other. I know some of other sport clubs, people have the value, can run around, to fly, to hide, to play. But you have and unique, and that's why it's good service for community, and I think you keep in your mind when up the issue, put it stronger on the writing and talking at the council meeting, what is important, because that is provide for all of our community, not only serve it for the disabled people, but serve it for any member, and that's your book is been there very long time. We should look at it. Thank you.
So with my project management background, I would run this like a mini project, and you mostly always have your end users in a working group. So they're the ones that are going to tell you what is the problem, what is the need, and then you go away and you give them something to review, and then you cost it out. You just don't go and say, well, this is how much money I'm going to give you, and this is what we're going to build you. And I know that there's lots of projects that have happened in Brimbank like that. One of them is the gym, was projected for 3,000. Now I go to that gym every day, and when it's not school holidays, you can't get a car park. So it's great that we've got the gym, but we shouldn't have 10,000 members, because I don't want to have to get up and look at what do I have to book today. So this is the same, is about the project, what are the needs, what do we need, and put it in the queue, and not have you need to have a projected queue for the next 4 years, so you don't get down the list all the time. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your answers. Who's next? Andy? Do you want to get up, or do you just want to?
No, I'm fine. Everyone can hear me.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of questions. I'm going to try and combine them into one because we've got a little bit of time. I'm going to ask you about the elephant in Brimbank, the Melbourne third runway. I'm going to ask each one of you what are your personal opinions in regards to the Melbourne third runway, and secondly, I want to know from you, because if you get elected as councillor, you're going to have to take an oath to uphold council policy, and we know how much councils are involved with the state government, yeah? So how are you going to juggle that effect when it comes to your table to say that if your personal beliefs are against the Melbourne third runway, how are you going to juggle that as a councillor that you're representing your electors, which is us? That's understanding?
Yeah. So the third runway really is a contentious issue, because when you think about it, you know, the city is growing, so demand is growing. We need increased infrastructure because we're growing as a city, but at the same time, it seems like the plans for the third runway were rushed through, from everything I've heard. There was no genuine consultation by the residents here. They set up some working groups during COVID and people couldn't get access to it. I mean, just bizarre. And even most recently, rushing the approvals through while we're in caretaker mode. And all of those things, I just think is outrageous. I mean, how can you say that this is a major project affecting, you know, half the population of Melbourne, if not more, and you're not engaging in genuine consultation? Me as a union official, I engage in consultation every day at my workplace, right? Whether it be a new toilet block and you know, disability access for the toilet block and just little things like that, to pay rises for all of our staff, and most recently I achieved a pay rise of $45 million, and I was at the bargaining table achieving that result for our staff at Swinburne, right? In terms of my personal belief, I've had neighbours, well, I'm disrupted by the noise living in Sunshine North. I have neighbours that have moved into the area because of work and then had to quickly move out of the area because of the noise, and they couldn't sleep, and they work shift work. Many of us do work shift work, so you have to sleep in the day, night, odd hours, right? It's not conducive to a positive community at all. And then I guess for the second point is that I will be representing the community's values at heart. You know, I mentioned this before that I'm a Labor Party member, elephant in the room, right? You know, so that I have a voice when it comes to those party meetings, and I bring the voice to them. Actually, I was at another talk yesterday for the union, and Will Strauss was asked the same question, why are you a Labor Party member, when you know, they're not doing the right thing by people. Her response is much the same as mine, bringing the voice of the community that she represents to the party. And in her case, she was doing the yes vote for marriage apology, so she was driving out to every single Labor branch meeting all across Australia, so she could tell her story of self and bring her voice to every single Labor Party meeting to get them to endorse a yes vote for marriage equality. And that's something that I can do because I'm a Labor member, and go to those Labor meetings and say, hey, this is what the community is saying. They're outraged by the third runway. Have you looked at, you know, putting express rail out to the other airport? And, you know, instead, we're growing as a city. Look at how other cities around the world are developing. They're moving the airports out, etc. They haven't looked at any of those solutions. Instead, they've fast-tracked the third runway. And, you know, as a resident here, I'm outraged, and as a member of the community and a vocal member of the community, I'm outraged as well. And I'm ready to bring a voice to the party there. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Daniel. When I remember when council made us aware of the report, the health report, about the implications of the perspective for third runway. Shocked was not the word. Concerned, highly concerned, and my fellow councillors did too. So when the news came that it is still going ahead, I acknowledge the sentiments of everybody here in the community and the concerns, because like you, Daniel, where I live, there are times more than others when the planes are going, and it's going on all day and even night. I will do whatever I can in our capacity to join with my fellow councillors to make sure that the community's concerns are taken into account, and we do whatever we can in our power to ameliorate the effects of this third runway, whether it's through curfew after hours, whether it's compensation for the people that are affected, and so on. I do whatever I can as a councillor to work with my fellow councillors, because the problems will still be there, and it is highly concerning, especially when it comes to health and well-being of our community. Thank you.
Yeah, when we're just talking about sports facilities, well, those sports facilities aren't going to be very enjoyable when you've got jet planes that are weighing 480 to 580 tonnes of A380, basically running over two freeways over the Keilor at the end of Keilor Primary School. The reality is stark, and I'm proud that our council is the only council that actually went out and got an independent consultant that did a health impact assessment. Now that health impact assessment, as Councillor Victoria Borg and also Daniel, you attended that the meeting that we had last week with the consultant and the doctor, gave, and I've got the information here for anyone that wants to read it from, just trying to think, Dr. Housen, has given me. You're free to browse and have a look at the health impacts. The health impacts are what I call a health emergency for our community. If this government can't put the health and well-being of our community first, then we're going to fight, and I'm going to fight. I'm going to go into that chamber and I'm going to say, this is a health emergency for our community. The right to have sleep, adequate sleep, is a right for everyone. And it's not just about bargaining for a curfew, because it's about respecting our rights to live here, because it's not about the airport being here first either, because there were farmers here way before the airport, and Keilor Primary School is turning 150 next year, so it was here well before the airport. The airport is not a good neighbour. It is about greed and it's about making money. Even at its lowest point during the COVID, it was making money because it was building almost a whole new city. I don't know if you looked in the paper, it's building Elite Town, which has got all these entertainment. They're making money regardless of whether those planes fly in the sky, through car parks, through all these add-ons that they are putting into the airport. So it's not just, as Tim Palace said, it's a car park with a default airport. We do not need to have this volume of airplanes in the air. And it's not just that, it's fine particles. I was talking to someone today about their house roofs covered in fine particles, which is a layer of this stuff coming from aeroplanes, and they're breathing it in. Kids are breathing it in our schools. So I'm determined, if I'm elected, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to fight against it. And with the decision that they made, yes, you're right, they made it at a time where we're in caretaker mode, where they know a councillor can't get up and do a notice of motion against it, so they've silenced us. But also, the minister's come out politically and said it's with conditions. One of the conditions, I don't know if you've seen the condition, is that the airport conduct its own health assessment. That's a bit like giving Dracula to be in charge of the blood bank. I mean, how is a corporation that making millions of dollars going to get their own consultant that's going to write their own report, and I can guarantee you it'll be a report that they want, it won't be one that it will be independent like the one we commissioned with Tonkin and Tonkin. And it was very hard to find an independent, because everyone's bought out by the airport because of the money they have. But Tonkin and Tonkin, and I'm really proud that our council stumped up $250,000 or plus to do this report, because it opens us our eyes to the truth. And that's what I'm going to go and fight for, the truth and independence. The the airport has got absolutely no authority to be doing its own health impact assessment.
Can I say something on that about greed? You know,
Can we maybe leave it until afterwards, because we're already running about half an hour behind?
the airport wants to come to my market, and I said no, you are not coming.
Good on you.
Good on you. I know.
Yeah, it's the same thing happened when we were lobbying Anson about. We found out that the big factories, they can submit their own emissions reports, just like how you and I submit our own tax to the ATO. Because when we were fighting Axon Nobel, we were doing FOI requests for their emission report, and they were reporting everything's okay, all good here, and of course it wasn't. So it's a common thing.
I think it's a good thing it be the local government, because that is the chance for us can listen from the president, from the local people, what's the issue, and that is will become the voice on your behalf to speak, to again, or to raise the issue, to sort it out. And I think that is other candidates already planned a lot. We have a short time. I think it's right when the local people, local community understand what the problem in that area, what they need, what they want to know better for community. And all the councillors select have to be represented on their behalf, have to be the voice for them to speak out, have to be strong to go for the community. That's it only.
Being in Keilor, I hear the noise all the time. We have the planes all the time, and obviously the fuel, especially over summer. So that is something very close to my heart, to make sure that myself and the wider Brimbank is safe. But I think we also need to make sure that we have a balance, and we don't have a fighting war, but it's how do we get the infrastructure you know, because obviously we need to grow as a city, but make it a good balance across, but it needs to be not at the sake of our own health.
Fantastic, thank you. Okay, I've got a couple of questions here from Brimbank Sustainability and Climate Action. In the interest of saving time, I'm going to ask both questions together, and I'll pass the mic down, and if we could just get an answer in 1 or 2 sentences very quickly, because we're well and truly behind at the moment. The first question is, the council's tree planting policy, I should put my glasses on, sorry. The council's tree planting policy says felled trees will be replaced within 2 years, but it places the responsibility on residents to request replacements. This isn't mentioned in the policy or on the council's website or social media. If elected, how will you address this? The second question is, Brimbank Council's Climate Action Plan calls for a shift to plant-based food systems to address the climate crisis, but no action has yet been taken. If elected, will you endorse the plant-based treaty, which aims to cut food-related emissions and restore land by planting trees, and push for the council to also endorse it?
We are in the West especially. We have a growing issue with the urban heat island effect. For those of you that don't know what that is, the average temperature in the West is on average 4 to 6 degrees higher than the rest of Melbourne. It's an endemic issue going on in the West right now. If it's something that we don't address today, I mean, look at the speed of tree growth. How can you say we'll plant it within 2 years? You've got to start today and get those trees in the ground. I was door knocking residents, and one resident said to me, hey, the council dug up this old tree and put another tree here, and it's like they didn't consult with the neighbour or anything. Removed a perfectly fine tree and put a little sapling there, and it's like, what's going on? And again, back to my previous point, putting in solutions that are fit for purpose, and yep, I endorse the tree planting. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Shannon. Well, again, very important questions. I'm happy to look at the policy again.
Yes, Peter.
I'm happy to look at the policy again about replacing trees and how we can improve on that. And anything else regarding the plant treatment, obviously, again, I need to be very important to make informed decisions. That is my attitude when I am in council. I look very, very closely at the evidence-based reports, and I must admit I am highly pragmatic in that regard. I definitely will very much consider it. Can I also say that I might have to finish to leave now? It's my husband's birthday today, and he is patiently waiting for me in the car. Yes. Well, that's okay. We try to wear different hats at different times and accommodate each other. So, on this note, I need to leave you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here, and looking forward to the outcome, and whichever candidates are elected. All I'm hoping for is a council that keeps in mind the community first. Thank you.
I'd just like to say the same, that I'll definitely relook that policy in regards to, we have been rolling out the Greening of the West program, but also I've noticed that in a lot of the heat impact areas that we've been planting extra trees like St Albans, which has got probably the highest density of the whole of Brimbank, and also the highest vulnerability. So we do notice that trees reduce the temperature by 5 degrees, but it also reduces flooding because they absorb the water. And also with the plant-based treaty, I did bring that up to council, and they said that they're planning to incorporate that with what they're already existing doing with the emissions.
Apologies.
Yeah, I think it's recently I have to look at the policy if it is important, and we also think it's climate change and pollution is one of the issues we should look at, and about to protect the tree or the still is the important. But like I said, we look the policy, we focus, and we want to do what is the better for not now for us, but for the future of our generation too. Sorry, I have to leave early too because I have to pick up my grandchildren, and I'm like about 10 minutes.
All policies, my beliefs is you bring the residents on the journey, but also the council needs to be accountable. So it's great planting trees, but you've got to maintain it and do the afterthoughts as well.
Okay, are there any final quick questions? Because we are about to move into our one-on-ones. So did you have a quick question? Oh, okay. No worries. All right, so what I'll actually do is I'll quickly try and bring some chairs up here. Imagine this is kind of like speed dating. Like I said, anyone who has booked a ticket for one-on-one, if you could just have your ticket ready on your phone or your piece of paper, because you'll be prioritised, those that are booked, because we are time limited. And basically we'll run you through and sort of give a call out when it's time to switch candidates. But thank you very much for your questions and for participating in the open forum. And yeah, we'll move on to the one-on-ones. Thank you very much.